Lift your hands. Lift your hand. You alone deserve the glory, Jesus. You alone deserve the praise. For the last time. Right, hello, good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Wednesday, the 30th day of June 2021. By His grace, we're live and we're here with another edition of the show. Our gratitude will go to the Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly, but let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Industrialization agenda, Toyota, Suzuki set up plant, first Hilux pickup out. Speaker signals law against LGBTQI+. Every day there's a new alphabet. Auditor General cites technical investors for irregularities. 447 million Ghana cedis lost in 5 years. Ghanaian Times. Irate youth clash with police and military at Ejura. 2 killed, 4 injured, following murder of Fix the Country activist. Pantan Hospital closed down after demo by nurses and doctors. Ketu South ravaging sea causes more havoc. Kwesi Nyantakyi charged, granted 1 million Ghana cedis bail. Daily Guide. Bullion van attack, how robbers tracked cop. President opens Toyota Suzuki plant. Violence in the Jura of Ameda. Too much political intolerance, Kandapa. The New Crusading Guide. AG blows cover as NDC candidate diverts state cash for sister's funeral. The Mapot Rosewood saga. Company clears air. Pram sits on time bomb. Kingmakers indicate. Wahi royal family wins land case against KNUST. The Insight. Hassan Ayariga punches government over robbery attacks, 170 million judgment debt and others. Pram sitting on time bombs. 2 father warns. Ongoing 2021 population census, Kentucky Tekochuru II urges Dangways to patronize exercise. And Thai MP also urges Ghanaians to be counted in ongoing 2021 census. U.S. spied on its close allies in Europe, including Germany and France, with the help of Danish Secret Service. The Informer. Ongoing 2021 population and housing census. Banda MP's ignorance exposed. Akufo-Addo advocates unfair media, says, I'm against any form of governmental control of media. Drug use, wreaks havoc. NACOC reveals. Be patriotic, Bawumia tells respondents and warns against extorting money from censors and enumerators. Let's elect MMDCs, Afenyomakin proposes. The Inquisitor. Dog bites dog in MPP. Agenda kill La Bianca in motion. YAGG wants government to secure Tiwa forest. Happy for Green Ghana initiative. Techman South NDC candidate cited for Chop Chop. McDonald launches his autobiography. Stop press. GRA guru to resign over dirty petroleum report. The Herald. Ghana security abandons rubber bullets and tear gas for live bullets as police and soldiers kill unarmed civilians at Ejura, many injured. Fake job recruiter busted by police used Infantiman MP's name to defraud victims. NPP MPs ran from anti-lesbianism and homosexuality bill. Bagbin warns Western diplomats. City Spaces selling stolen in quotes Kitasi lands on behalf of Amokad Limited. The Daily Statesman. We're on course. Akufo-Addo commissions Toyota Suzuki vehicle assembly plant. Public officials urge to get skills in dispute resolution. Very important. So they don't go and terminate contracts by heart. Unauthorized structures go down in Kumasi. Ghana seeks Jamaica's partnership for debt forgiveness. The Daily Searchlight. Don't demand money to be counted. VIP. Ghanaians must be part of census. Kufuor. Security Wa Forest Youth Alliance as he commends government for Green Ghana initiative. NPP Youth Wing appreciates His Excellency Bawumia. The Ghanaian Publisher. Boost for Ghana's automobile industry as Nana opens $7 million Toyota Suzuki assembly plant. Framers Aid donates lab equipment to Nkranza SHS. Napaga Tia head special development initiatives. Congratulations. 2 killed, 4 injured in a Jura clash. Ashanti police begins probe. Bagbin hints at anti-gay law. Says Ghana won't accept the canker. The Custodian. LGBTQI plus is worse than COVID-19 pandemic. Bagbin warns. Ghana backs 2-state solution in Middle East. Akufo-Addo to Israeli ambassador. NDC Techiman South candidate chops in court. Taxpayers cash. Bermoch Rebuating goes home July 3. Buy locally assembled cars. President directs MDAs. Daily Post. Akufo-Addo must de-escalate situation in Nigeria. John Mahama. 5 containers of rosewood impounded at Tema Port. Sosu proposes proposal for introduction of private members bill. Kaka Meda. Fix Ghana or keep killing us. Fix the country campaigner to Akufo-Addo. Business and Financial Times. Government allocation to Agric stays below 1% in 4 years. ZPay raises $8 million in Series A.0 round to drive growth. Fight illegal fishing alongside close season to maximize gains. Stakeholders. Banking is not dead. It is evolving. FBN Bank MD. Coca-Cola donates 374,000 Ghana cedis to COVID-19 private sector fund. Talo drills 2 more wells at Jubilee Field. EcoBank, market leader, 3 decades on. And that's about it. For the front pages, we'll be back shortly.
Did you know that cloth handkerchief gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it? Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchief. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief. The Flora toilet roll, Flora multi-purpose paper towels, Flora table napkins, and Flora box tissues in a shop near you. For both purchases, call Delta Paper Mail on 0243 033 033.
Yenim sa whoop football pa. And nothing a high sense as sponsor Euro 2020. Edia Mauno. Nisa sunti na yatete TV so say who? Edia Mauno. A high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. Kahoe kwajo brand new high sense TV and ne board that for pictures near clear na color near deep sound quality this so dear one it here high sense TV so dear entry power about down one access you are akona utu sa befu. If it's 18th June, akopim 11th July. A high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. Emma refi say high sense and kwan emma 5 years warranty. A high sense Euro 2020 TV super promo. Akoso wa high sense showrooms e wa Ghana fa na nyina. Kwachu dia na nsenya. High sense everyday prices for everyday people. High sense official sponsor Edema Euro 2020.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper. Kwesi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Also with me on the show is the Member of Parliament for the Subin constituency, the Honorable Eugene Wachi Entry. Good morning, Eugene.
Morning, Randy.
Right. This show is brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. Right, so I was at the AH Cafe yesterday, after the show, and was having a couple of meetings in there. And around, I think, 11:30, Annie rushes there, my producer. She rushes there and says, please put the TV on a news channel. There's something happening. I said, what's happening? Apparently, she had called my phone many times, and because my phone is always on silent, I didn't really get to see the call. Now, then she told me that there's something happening at Edria in connection with the gentleman who had died earlier, who many people believe was murdered earlier. So then we had to track. Eventually, we found the live report on Facebook, and I found it a bit unbelievable. Throughout the day, we started getting a lot more reports, a lot more videos, a lot more pictures about what happened, and I guess that's the biggest talking point. We'll share some of the videos and pictures with you, and then I'll take the views of our panel on this terrible event at Edria.
I am, by this statement, calling for calm in the Idris Autonomous Municipality. I call on the Minister for National Security, the Minister for Defense, and the Minister of Interior, and the Regional Security Council to take immediate steps to restore calm in the municipality. I am also calling on the Defense Minister to institute a full-scale investigation into the shooting incident to ensure that trigger-happy soldiers can be brought to book. I demand nothing but justice for Ibrahim Mohammed and his family. The police must thoroughly investigate and prosecute the killers of Ibrahim to serve as a deterrent to persons who are acting with impunity in the municipality.
The remote cause of what unfolded in Nijura was the attempt by the state to suppress a fundamental right, which is the right to demonstrate. Fix the Ghana movement is a movement which has been in the news in recent times because they have a number of grievances and decided to air those grievances through what is supposed to be a constitutionally guaranteed right to demonstrate. But this group has gone through a lot of frustrations, which then resulted in the use of social media to ventilate some of the grievances of the group.
In the broad daylight, you will see a military person take his knees down and aim into unarmed civilians and shoot into the crowd. Mr. Speaker, the videos are there. I hope that the media will expose this because it is there. Just see, goes down, aim into the crowd and fire. Even if, without admitting that the crowd was becoming lawless, That is why they are trained. I'm not trained to manage crowd control, but they are trained.
Speaker, what we should be doing, and I heard my colleague, my good friend, we were all at the NUT student leadership together, the Honorable Agaga, very experienced student leader. We should be encouraging state institutions like the police, the army, the national security, to conduct a thorough investigation, and then the perpetrator should be brought to book.
I am, by this statement, calling for calm in the Idras Autonomous Municipality.
Right, so those were scenes from Ejura as well as the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, where this issue actually took center stage during yesterday's sitting. And you've seen the videos, you also saw the still picture, which actually shows a soldier shooting into the crowd, the one there. And so what we're told is that the youth of Ejura has stormed the police station to demand justice for 45-year-old Ibrahim Mohammed, who had been killed. He's popularly called Kaka. He's a social media activist. And 2 people were reported killed, while 4 persons, including a military officer, were wounded after the clash. And eyewitness reports indicated that they used stormed the police station to inquire about the extent of investigations in connection with the murder of their colleague. When the police told the angry youth that they had arrested 2 people in connection with the crime, the youth said it was a hoax. The protesters hit the streets, burnt car tires, and were met by military and police personnel. And about 7 soldiers who were said to be on board a police water cannon vehicle charged on the protesters. Initially, the military were said to be shooting into the sky, but when the protesters charged, the soldiers started shooting into the crowd. Ejura is in Ashanti region, right? Eugene, let me start.
The northern, good morning to our esteemed viewers. The northernmost part of Ashanti region, a very populous town, very crowded town, if you know the place. And well, I think the IGP and the army commander have questions to answer, if you ask me. They had guys, their men on the ground, and they are best placed to answer to why certain actions were taken. I mean, live bullets, rubber bullets, what have you. These are all answers that Ghanaians will be waiting to hear from them. I think whatever be the case, the response of the security agency should have been proportionate, measured, and even-handed in crowd control. But already it brings to the fore how we deal with crowd control in this country. It started right from the Kumpreko days. I think the police have been, or the security agencies have not got the hang of dealing with crowd control. And that, going forward, I believe is a key thing that ought to be addressed. But I'm not, I understand bits and pieces of Hausa, but I'm not, I think we should help us. I overheard the guy saying in the background, I don't know whether you heard it saying that, oh, he was filming it when the stones were being pelted from the crowds towards the security agencies. And the guy asked him, what if the soldiers see so they can't do FOCO? You know, so excuse my French. So was the response of the security agency in reaction to the violence from the government? But whatever be the case, violence is not a solution, you know, to whatever happened in Nigeria. I'm sure that the good people of this country deserve answers. And questions are being asked left, right, and center. But like I said, we should wait for the IGP and the army commander to respond to these. Because this, clearly the member of parliament, Alhaji Ibrahima, has come to say that, for the area, has come to say that the guy is a known NPP activist. So this has nothing to do with politics, so far as I'm concerned. Right? And I don't know why the Fix the Country guys too are trying their damnedest to wade into the matter.
No, he's a member.
But according to the guy's relative, he's not a member of Fix the Country. You see, so because all these things are going to, we are in Accra.
No, but they are posts. They are actually social media posts of the guy, which shows his activism.
I think for now we should hold our horses And you know, the institutions charged with maintaining law and order in our country must answer. People are asking why should the president get involved? There are institutions charged with the responsibility of, you know, protecting our country. And I believe that the IGP and the Army commander have serious questions to answer, because they have guys on the floor. They may have taken a reasonable force, or they may have used reasonable force in the circumstances, but they have to come and explain to us why that. How the reasonable force came about and how they responded. I think we are all waiting. We are all waiting to hear. There have been press releases from, I think, the police as well as the other political parties.
So you see, that's him and some of his posts.
No, I'm not doubting that, but it's just because of, you know, the tangents people are taking in the matter. And now, see, this country, when things happen, sometimes the substance is lost. You know, there's so much fluff. You know, excuse my French this morning. That's been peddled about, as opposed to going to the substance of the matter. Because once the two political parties, the Kotoko and Hearts, get involved in the matter, it's difficult to ascertain what actually went on. That's why I said we should give the IGP the room, all his ministers, to come to Parliament and answer. The IGP, the Army commander. So we are talking about 3 different ministers. We're talking about Kandapa, Ambrose Derry, and Nitiwo, to come to Parliament and answer and speak to the nation about it. Because these are matters that I believe demand answers. And going further, I'm also of the view that the institutions must brief the ministers as to why they use these live bullets. Because they're saying live bullets. From where I'm sitting, why live bullets in such a crowded area? But if their lives were under threat or whatever, we don't really know. So let's give them an opportunity to come, speak to a nation, and then whatever questions that we have, we can put to them. I think for now, we should all hold our horses and ensure that the good people of Ejura, you know, calm will be restored. They can go on with their normal lives, whilst the state security agencies charged with the responsibility of protecting the peace and the law and order in our country, answer to Parliament and elsewhere, so that we can all move on as a nation. The crowd control matter, Randy, I'll say it again. Ghana is growing day in, day out. The population is growing, and demonstrations are going to happen. Things like the situations in Ejura will be with us for time to come. So the security agencies must be disciplined and professionally trained to handle the crowd. You know, what we are seeing leaves a lot to be desired.
But we've often touted the professionalism of our security agencies. We've spoken about how, accolades are showered on us with respect to peacekeeping, whether under the aegis of the UN or the AU and all that. I mean, this is shocking.
Yeah, but this is a test case. So, you know, sometimes, like I said, Randy, the headline, the narratives, you can all peddle it, you can all say it. But it's a test case. This is something that's happening. And we have failed, if you ask me. From the letter that we have seen, we have failed. Well, lives have been lost. And I don't think any decent, well-meaning Ghanaian will be happy about a life being lost. Two guys have. That's why we don't want a situation where the whole matter is politicized. Let's wait patiently and calmly. Let's hasten slowly. Let the state agencies come and respond, or the ministers come to Parliament and respond and address Parliament on why live bullets were used. Because it may well turn out to be, you know, rubber bullets. You know. We have to ascertain all that. And why did they use it? When their lives under threat, what was the security on the ground? We have to wait and listen to all these matters. From where I'm sitting, I don't want a situation where, you know, the political parties jump on the field and the actual events that unfolded in Ejura becomes a football between NPP and NDC. And that is where I believe it won't help us all. So I'm quite happy to wait. I mean, the minister this week or early next week, questions can be filed for them to come and respond.
All right, so the MP for the area, Kwesi.
Alhaji Brahma.
Yes, Bawa Brahma Mohammed. He is demanding a full-scale probe into the Menis constituency. And he says that the Minister for Defense Ministers for Defense, Interior, and National Security must be held responsible for the incident. Quote, they were coming from the cemetery and out of pain of losing Kaka. They were demonstrating and were unarmed, even if they were holding weapons. It's the duty of the police and military to use different means to quell the demonstration. But to fire live bullets into the crowd means the soldiers deliberately did it. I'm calling on the military high command, the Ministry of National Security and Ministry for Defense to institute a probe into the shooting incident. He says he plans to summon the security chiefs to appear before Parliament to answer questions regarding the incident. I intend to petition the chairman of the Defense Committee to summon the security chiefs before the committee and the House. He, however, appealed to the residents of the area to remain calm as investigations are ongoing to bring the perpetrators of the attack against the late social activist and the Tuesday morning incident to book. In a related development, Director at the Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center has warned of the potential recurrences if nothing is done to address the concerns of the youth. Professor Kwesi Enin sees the incident not as an isolated one, but as a representation of a widespread sentiment of frustration harbored over the period. Quote, Ejura is only a symbolic representation of the frustrations across the country. Quite a number of our own leaders have spoken about youth frustration, unemployment as a toxic mix. Ejura has demonstrated that we've now moved from the rhetoric of seeming to be concerned. And he said that, he says that when the state and its representatives over time signal to the people that they don't matter, it contributes to building frustrations. And he says that, he went on to say that efforts by the growing youth to get their voices heard on various pressing issues seem to have been handled with dismissiveness by leadership, culminating in what he describes as a looming tipping point. He says we need to say, look, how do we improve our policing so that it doesn't tip over these aspects of people's frustrations? Kwesi?
Well, Randy, to be honest with you, I think that the fundamental issue here is whether we want to build a multi-party democratic order or not. The indications are that we are still not ready for the multi-party democratic order. Since 1992, all of our governments have tried to stifle the right to free expression. They've tried in several ways to take with their left hands what the Constitution of Ghana gave to the people of this country. The 1992 Constitution gave the people of this country an unfettered right to protest and to demonstrate. Completely unfettered right to demonstrate. Our politicians went to Parliament and passed the Public Order Law, which introduced fetters. And some of the fetters were that the police could go to the High Court and prevent a demonstration. That persons who wanted to organize demonstrations were required by the Public Order Law to notify the police at least 5 days before the event, to provide routes and to indicate the number of persons who were going to participate in the demonstration and so on. Now, clearly speaking, this law banned unplanned demonstrations. Under this law, you cannot have spontaneous demonstrations. Every demonstration has to be planned. And you have to plan it at least 5 days ahead and so on. What is this? Today, in today's modern world, you are saying that spontaneous protest is outlawed. How can that be? And yet, our courts have upheld this affront to democracy. You understand? Over the years, since 1992, they've upheld this affront to democracy. Our courts have upheld this direct aggression on the 1992 Constitution. And I cannot understand it. You understand? Now, we are in a multi-party democratic era, which simply means that we will be different. Which simply means that we will all not agree on every issue. Because the multi-party democratic order is founded on difference. Without difference, you can't have multi-party democracy. The whole architecture is founded on difference. And yet, in this country, our political parties, political activists, and political leaders have over the years frowned on difference. If you frown on difference, how can you build a multi-party democratic order whose basis is difference? Criticism of government is virtually seen as a crime. If you have a constitution which says that every 4 years you go to an election, and that governments may be removed, and that you can actually remove presidents through the process of impeachment and so on, what it says is that citizens have a right. Citizens have a right to criticize government, to make governments unpopular. Citizens have a right to point to the shortcomings of government and so on. And yet, in this country, criticizing government has become a crime over the years, and I don't understand it. Now, I want to narrow down to what has happened in Edura and what is happening in Edura. This young man, I hear he's 42 years old. 45 years old. Kaka, macho. Has been active on social media and has been very critical of government and the authorities in the Edura area. He receives threats of death and threats of injury and so on. A report is made to the police and nothing happens. He's not provided with security, nothing, until he's murdered. And that alone is problematic enough. When the reports of the threat surfaced, what did the security services do in order to protect him? What did they do? Absolutely nothing. He's eventually killed. Now, when he had been killed, when he had been murdered, it should have been obvious to the security services and the authorities that there will be protests, that people will be angry in Edura and beyond. What did they do to assuage the anger of the population? I don't know anything that they did to assuage the anger of the population. What do? They sent armed soldiers and policemen into Edura to teach them where power lies. That's where we are. And if people are going to demonstrate, and we even think that the demonstration is likely to turn violent and so on, do you send soldiers? Soldiers? Is that what you send? A complete abuse of the military. And you know why they often send soldiers? They send soldiers because they think that citizens are afraid of soldiers, and that fear is what they want to exploit in order to prevent citizens from free expression and so on. Now, that's an insult to the army. The army should not be seen, soldiers should not be seen as enemies of the people. So when you have a situation where the authorities depend on this fear of soldiers as enemies of the people, a brutal force, and so on, in order to intimidate the population, the army should feel insulted. Soldiers should feel insulted. In any case, this is a civil situation. We are not at war. And then you send soldiers. And some of the videos I've seen are completely shocking. In one of the videos, I saw this uniformed security personnel kneeling down and aiming into the crowd and shooting.
Yeah.
And this is murder. Plain-faced murder. You understand? And I cannot believe that this is happening in our country.
That's it. You see the second one. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, you can see it.
After all the struggles we have been through to establish a democratic order, this is what we are giving. In 2021, this is what we are giving. I can't believe it. It's so horrifying. And then I listened to the municipal chief executive for Edura. Randy, I thought I was listening to an Israeli security officer.
Really?
Yes. Or an apartheid South African security officer from apartheid South Africa. Saying that the security forces were pelted with stones. And therefore, they were justified in firing warning shots and so on. This is like Israel. This is like Israeli security intervention in Palestine. The same. Palestinians are throwing stones, and the Israelis use jet fighters and mortar bombs and so on in order to calm the Palestinians. This is where we are. You understand? This is like Soweto under the apartheid regime. That is where we are getting. That is where we've gotten. And I'm so embarrassed by what has happened. There are calls for investigations, for committees of inquiries and so on. Of course, yes. We need to establish the empirical evidence, for both private and official reaction to what has happened there. But what should be the outcome of this investigation? No matter what the outcome is, this country needs to make a bold effort to protect the rights of citizens to free expression, to free association, and to protest. Because if we don't do that, we are not building a democracy. You understand? This country ought to make a clear statement that citizens have a right to protest. Look at what is happening with this fix Ghana movement. The frustrations they are enduring, sometimes the harassment and so on. Now we are told that one of their members has actually been cold-bloodedly murdered. What country is this? This is why some people are sometimes tempted to refer to this country as a banana republic. Now sometimes some of the things that are happening here are worse than things that happened in Haiti under Papa Doc, with his Tonton Macoutes and so on. This is exactly what they did. I'm embarrassed as a Ghanaian. I'm embarrassed as an African and so on. Now it gets worse. I mean, and Eugene, please, it gets worse. When you come to consider the history of the people in government today, when you come to consider the history of the people in government today, it gets worse. Because they were in the trenches, fighting against these same things. And the assumption was that if you gave them power, they would do something different from what they fought against. Now look at what is happening. How is this different from the Kumipreku shootings? How is this different from the Kumipreku shootings? Somebody should come and explain to me how this can be different from the Kumipreku shootings. I am so very deeply embarrassed. You understand? And then when these things happen, I see some people calling for the head of the police officers who fired into the crowd, the soldiers and so on. Who ordered them there in the first place? Those who ordered them there and gave them life ammunition are as guilty as those who fired the shots. And this matter should not be left hanging. You understand? Randy, all of us have a responsibility as citizens. Eugene, Randy, myself, everybody, we have a responsibility as citizens. And the responsibility we have as citizens of Ghana is to tell the authorities that we would not be intimidated, that we would not allow ourselves to be intimidated, that we would exercise our democratic rights whether they like it or not. This country has come to the point where those in power, those who wield power, whether in the armed forces, in the civil service, wherever, must be told in plain language that we are fed up and that we will do what is right, whether they like it or not, and that we would not allow them to play God in our country. Finish.
Quite a number of our viewers say they disagree with you on your point about the president shouldn't speak and all that. And they say their disagreement with you is based on the fact that when George Floyd was killed in America, the president spoke about it.
Oh, and they compared apple and oranges.
Why?
George was a brutal murder by a police officer, right? Why I'm saying the president shouldn't get involved now? The situation is going to be investigated, right? There are institutions charged with responsibility for protecting all of us. That's what I'm saying as a parliamentarian, as a lawmaker, that look, first and foremost, we have ministers. Those ministers must come to parliament. In other jurisdictions, people may have resigned by now. But not in our country, unfortunately. In other jurisdictions, some ministers would have resigned by now. But they've lost it. Why are you trying to draw the president in?
Is that the least issue? Is it
bear with me.
Just
bear with me.
You know, he can condemn the incident,
bear with
and
me.
that will not have anything.
Bear with me.
Yeah.
We have 3 key ministers that we've mentioned their name this morning.
Yeah.
We have Kandapa, we have Ambrose Derry, we have Dominic Mitiwo.
Yeah.
Why are you not asking them the right questions? Why are we going? Yeah, the president is in charge of national security, blah blah blah, what have you? But there are ministers. You are the ministers in charge of these institutions, right? Kwesi is saying this policeman who aimed his gun at the crowd. Randy, I'm not trying to do equalization. Something happened in Chirpone by elections. A same national security person shot into a crowd. Where are these people? Why are we, the politicians, harboring these people, and taking the blame? That's why I don't get. You see, yes, as a minister, you have to be responsible to the extent that the guy who shot through the crowd must be identified and prosecuted. If indeed it wasn't a rubber bullet, right? Why is everything president? Why? I don't get it. We make the president feel like they are gods. And that's what he's saying. The president has come, he's appointed his cabinet, he's working with ministers. And ministers are responsible for ministries. And it's their job to explain to the people of Ghana how these things came about. Why are you trying to draw in the name of the president here? Why? So the president come and speak and everything goes hunky-dory because the president has spoken? Is that what we are waiting for? And then the next minute, the same thing happens elsewhere. So, I said in other jurisdictions, as we speak, heads would have rolled. Decent people would have resigned.
And if they fail to resign?
Well, Randy, that's my bet.
Somebody appointed them.
Yes, but that's my bet.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I said investigation must start, no doubt. The Army commander has questions to answer. The IGP has questions to answer. Well, there's some guys there. National Security Minister in charge of national security also has questions to answer. They must come to Parliament and address the nation. And if the conduct is not satisfactory, then whoever is charged with responsibility of, protecting law and order in that part of our country who failed, ought to do the right thing. You know,
this thing, Eugene, for many people is becoming one too many.
Yes, and why the politicians are being blamed. Or, you see, Randy, the problem I have in this country is some of us, we allow ourselves to be blamed. I have a name. I was named Eugene Boachientwi. Your name is Dr. Randy Abbey. Why should I be covering for you? Just because
the doctor is not part of his name.
I was not born. I acquired. I ended. Yes, I ended.
So I graciously give it to you.
Okay.
Are you jealous of that one?
It's a title.
This one is one I already doctorate to. It's a proper one.
Usiai.
You see, you sweated for it. So you see, that's the discomfort I find, right? Because the president has been elected by the good people of this country. Greater majority of Ghanaians have elected him. But he has appointed people to support him, run the administration. And these people must be responsible. You understand? You see, if we want to hear the voice of the president every time, then it means that the president is running a one-man show. The next bit is, he's running a one-man show. He doesn't even allow ministers to do their work.
What do you say to those who say that? When, for example, if we agree that it's becoming one too many, yes, people don't resign. Somewhere else, somebody resigned for kissing. There's a
wasn't just kissing.
Breach of protocol.
Where was the clip again? It wasn't just kissing.
Okay, but breach of protocol. And for that reason, the person resigned because the camera caught the person or what.
But it was pressure though before he resigned.
Yeah, but he did.
But it was pressure.
Yes. Now, we say that it's becoming one too many. We've even set up a commission. A commission whose recommendation even government largely disagreed with, to the extent that government even insinuated that the commission did not even understand these terms of reference and all that.
I haven't.
Yes.
Which commission is that?
Yes.
I'm not privy to it.
Recently, I mean, on the basis of what happened to Caleb's issue, we even found out that even recommendations that government agreed with in the report had not even been implemented. But for that incident, we didn't even have known about those things and all that. And these things keep happening, and anytime they happen, it appears like people are singing from a particular hymn book. The style, how it is done, the crudeness, the untidiness of it. But we're still looking on.
Yeah, but Randy, like I said, all successive governments, I don't know, from maybe not, maybe I won't say Nkrumah, because Nkrumah was very lucky to have his own network. But I'm sure after Nkrumah, all successive governments have had issues with the security apparatus of our country. Then, Randy, jumping to 1992 to date, security agencies have embarrassed governments. You understand? So governments must understand that we are responsible. We go to the people to campaign for their votes. So when matters like this come up, we must allow those people, the so-called public or civil servants, whoever they want to describe themselves, to face the music. You understand? We shouldn't be taking the blame. Now, Akufo-Addo is being blamed, but he's sitting in Accra. Somebody goes and shoots a live bullet through a crowd, and then we want the president to come and speak. But there's a minister for defense, there's a minister for interior, there's a minister for national security. It's their job to come and address parliament. And if pressure is brought to bear, because it's not only these three ministers who are going to be accused. If you look at from 1992, I think this has been the pattern or the trend of the security operations. And we must sanitize this, we must tidy it up. It's not the best. In this day and age, when people are recording every minute, things that you could get away with 20 years ago, 30 years ago, now, people will just record you. And people were recording, you see people filming. And still, the modus operandi of national security has not changed one bit. It's still the same modus operandi. And this is where I think the politicians must sometimes step back and make sure that these people under, in uniforms, in the name of protecting our citizens, rather, killing citizens or rather being responsible in their conduct, must be made to face the music.
Are you suggesting, for one, that the security agencies by themselves deploy themselves and decide that they're going to do the things that they do?
You see,
we know that the truth is that we cannot divorce
this power from above. The power is not from God. Yes. It's from a human being.
Yes. The human being called a politician.
Let me tell you something. When I accompanied it's a bit of a deviation, but I want to use it to illustrate a point. When I accompanied the Minister for Chieftaincy, Honorable Kojokum, MP for Hunter West, to Menchia, and he was talking about this chieftaincy matter, Tunfo said to him that chieftaincy is an institution that shouldn't have any issues at all. Because you go back to where it started, where the problem started, you say, oh, so it was around this time. So we knew that it should have gone to Kwesi Pratt. So what happened that it didn't go to Kwesi Pratt? You were able to establish. When you establish it, you move from there. You understand? We know in this country that people are creating. You see, people are doing all manner of things in the name of government, in the name of politics. Why should we, the politicians, be taking the flak? That's what I don't get. You see, well, if you narrow it down, whoever issued that instruction, the person, because of political power, can be made to, or can be relieved of his position. You understand? Nobody is indispensable in this country. Nobody. From the president to the police station executive in Ghana, nobody is indispensable. But what I'm trying to say is that why are we always saying the president must speak, this must speak? Why? The president is not run the country by himself. He has appointed
when it happens in America, 85 when it happens in Nigeria, he speaks.
I'm not going to. They
cannot keep quiet when it happens in this country.
I'm not even going to give that traction. We are talking about Ghana now. Something has happened. We are asking our president to come and speak. I'm saying that why should the president speak?
Fine, that's your opinion.
The president can say, okay, I'm waiting for all the security reports before I address the nation. Fine. The president can say, okay, you know what? My ministers, go and do the needful. You understand? But whoever instructed their officers to pull the trigger, they must also face the music. Why are we, the politicians, always taking the flak? That's what I don't get. Why are we taking the flak? We have security agents in our country. They have gone to conduct an operation. The operation, from where I sit, is woeful. It's woeful, right? Yes, it was probably not measured, probably not appropriate, what have you. But why should we draw the name of the president into it? You understand? There are ministers. So these ministers, you're not going to say that because, what is the name? The health minister, Hancock. Because Hancock went and, he engaged his own peccadillos, it should affect Boris Johnson. He faced the museum, he left. So ministers must be responsible. You see, the president is in charge, he must wait for all the reports, yes, and address the nation, but does it solve the matter, Randy? It doesn't solve the matter. Some people must take responsibility.
Kwesi, just hold on a minute. I need to take a break.
Oh, Charlie.
33-watt safe fast charge system with 2 line certification. 90Hz superfluid display. 6.95-inch Full HD+. MediaTek Helio G95 processor, unbeatable gaming experience. Infinix Note 10 Pro, faster and smoother.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still with me on the show, I have Kwesi Pratt Jr. and Eugene Boachi Entry. The show is brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. Kwesi.
Well, I just want to emphasize the point that, yeah, my brother Eugene is right, that there have been times in our history when the security services have embarrassed governments. But there have also been many occasions on which governments and politicians and presidents have embarrassed the security services. Why? When you put hoodlums, hooligans and thugs in the uniform of security services and arm them and they go and cause mayhem, don't you embarrass the security services? You do. So it's a two-way street. You understand? I'm not too sure about the identity of the persons who were doing the shooting in Nigeria. But I'm waiting for the results of the investigation. It may very well be established that not all of them were properly recruited security personnel. It may. It has happened in this country before. It has happened on many occasions. Why? In the Kumi Preku shooting, it wasn't the police who shot. We know that. In the Kumi Preku shooting, it wasn't the army who shot, which fired the weapons as well. We know. In Ayawaso West Wuogon, many of the people who were involved in that mayhem were party police and party soldiers. We know that. So I'm making a statement of fact. You understand? That governments sometimes, by their very behavior, embarrass the security services.
I disagree.
Well, you're entitled to your disagreement. You understand? And I know also, as a matter of fact, that there are many decent people in the police and in the armed forces. And these many decent sons and daughters of this country in the police and in the armed forces, they think that they have professional standards to protect. It is politicians who have subverted these professional standards over a long period of time. Now, in this country, under the laws of this country, if you read the 1992 Constitution, it is clear that any time executive action is taken, in whatever area, the president is ultimately responsible for the action of the people he has empowered. Ministers act on behalf of the president. True. They have no powers on their own. True. You understand? And especially when they act and they are not penalized for their infractions and so on, of course, the bulk stops at the presidency. And that's a fact. You understand? I can understand some of the things that my brother Eugene has said. For example, the fact that early statements by the president may be prejudicial to the investigations and so on. I'm comfortable with that. I can understand that. And these are matters of administrative principle and principles of justice and so on. I can understand that. You understand? But then there's a problem when we apply double standards.
How?
At the time that the government of Ghana and the president issued a statement about developments in the United States of America involving George Floyd, investigations were still underway. Was that not prejudicial?
But he talked about the death. The unfortunate.
So let him talk about the unfortunate death in Edura. If he can talk about the unfortunate death in the United States of America, then he can talk about the unfortunate death here. You understand?
And the killing of protesters in Nigeria.
Exactly. Now, there's something that worries me very deeply, you know, and it is not the fault of public commentators. And this anything happens and say, oh, bring the minister to parliament. Don't do anything. Let's go to parliament and so on. Yes, parliament has a duty to contribute to the establishment of sanity in our country. Parliament has a duty to find the facts, to tease out the facts when things like this happen and so on. Parliament has a duty to contribute to the enforcement of the law and so on. No problem. But Parliament is not the only arena. Every place in Ghana, including our washrooms, are places for work to establish sanity. Every place, classrooms, offices, clubs, and so on. Every place is a venue for action to promote the interests of Ghana, to promote the development of Ghana, and to promote the establishment of a decent order in which citizens would not be afraid of expressing their views freely. Yes, sir. So let Parliament do its work. But the streets are also avenues for protest,
no doubt,
for agitation.
No doubt. No doubt.
The police said they won't allow us.
The police? How many of them exist? The whole police service, how many people? Ghana is a country of 30 million. They will shoot into us. But you see,
as they have demonstrated.
But you see, Randy, world history, and I'm not talking about the history of Ghana or Africa or West Africa, I'm talking about world history. World history actually vindicates the principle that violence in any form and with any weight cannot extinguish a people's desire to build a decent society. Look at the Soweto massacre. Have you seen the film of the Soweto massacre?
Yes.
You saw how many innocent children were gunned down in broad daylight and so on. In spite of that, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison and apartheid was smashed in South Africa. In spite of the number of guns and warships and aircrafts that Hitler had at his disposal, Hitler eventually had to commit suicide. Take the history of Ghana. Look, we were colonized. We were under British colonialism. At a time when the British claimed that they ruled the waves, ordinary ex-servicemen and market women and youths overthrew the British Empire in Ghana. Let nobody deceive themselves that the sheer volume of violence they can unleash can't keep them in power or can't keep the people silent. Look, it was Kwame Nkrumah who said that the Ghanaian is slow to anger. And these are not my words. But when it gets to a certain boiling point, the Ghanaian reacts decisively. Decisively. You understand? So all those people who think that they can intimidate the population, they can go to high court and get an order restraining people from demonstrating. When people protest, they will go and shoot and so on. They are deceiving themselves. Nowhere in history has the use of violence intimidated the people and prevented the people from realizing their aspirations. Nowhere in history. Whether in Haiti or wherever. It has not happened and it will not happen in Ghana. The people of Ghana will build a decent democratic order. The people of Ghana will one day live in a country where they can speak freely and publish freely and damn the consequences. That must happen and that will happen.
All right, now, guess what?
Yes, Randy. Randy.
What's funny?
when you know, the more I try to restrain myself, the more Mr. Prass wants to drag me out of my shell.
No, you should come out of your shell.
Yes, I will come out. I think that our whole national security apparatus must be reformed. The name has been changed, right? It used to be Special Branch when we were growing up. Then it went to BNI. It's now NIB. But it's just not the change of the name.
Form over substance.
Yes. The whole, it was very professional. In those days, Special Branch, the Special Branch produced people like Francisco Kwenko, right? They were graduates who went to join the police service at the time and were trained. They were professional intelligence people. And I think we all saw it when he became National Security Coordinator under J. Kufuor and stuff. You know, how he was able to handle our national matters.
He became minister.
Yeah, also later. Yes. So that special branch that evolved to BNI and how that has also evolved to now become NIB. We must look at the personnel, the training that these people are being given, and also the caliber of people that are being recruited.
But Eugene,
1 minute.
Let me just tell you something. We live in this country. You have been in parliament for 2 terms, so you can attest to this. Look, in this country, and I've raised this issue several times on this program, that we know by convention or whatever, that every year we see advertisements in the newspapers for enlistment into the security agencies. Even with that, we still claim that there is still some protocol arrangements. There's a protocol list. Now, for 4 years, we never saw any of these adverts. And he had to take an MP. I've forgotten who the MP is. For
last week?
Yeah, no, not last week. In 2018 or so. To raise the issue that, look, there are recruitments going on in the security agencies, yet no advertisement has been placed. What was the answer we were given? We were told that the security agencies over the years have had people applying and not
so they were doing the bad luck,
being successful. No. So they had turned that into a database without informing anybody. And they were going to that database and contacting people who they said had applied before and had not succeeded. And those were the people they were recruiting. We were told this story in this country. And nobody thought that this was a serious issue. That first of all, until the issue was raised, that look, there's recruitment going on, we were never told that, hey, people of this country, look, yes, this has been the tradition, this has been the convention. But look, we realize that every year, 100,000 people apply, people have to be buying forms every year. So we decided that we'll go into the database and we'll rather pick people. So this advertising for people to apply and all that has been stopped. And they say database. Between you and I, don't we see people in the security services today who didn't finish school 5 years or 8 years ago? who finished school recently? How did they enter into that database? How did they, those who finished school in the last 4 years, how did they enter into the database preceding 2017?
I think a question was asked last week of the defense minister, and he came to the parliament to address it on the floor. With this same question of protocol arrangement. I will ask her, for the member, the NDC member, and is it Abuja or Roxanne? One of them, and
but do you remember this reason?
No, forgive me.
This was in 2018.
Yes, I can remember, but forgive me. But a question was asked, a question was put, and he came to address it. But Randy, it still doesn't stop us from reforming our institutions of state. You see, as politicians, you said it time and over. There are certain institutions that it is in our own interest to see to its reformation. You understand? Our own interest. Well, one day, you fall foul of those institutions. I remember it was E.T. Mensah who was arrested in the elders of Kufuor and put in the VA detention. He said, and Gwekubako said, yeah, that's a place reserved for VIP. So you must make sure that the place is tidy and what have you. So that's an aside. But seriously, you must look at reforming that institution of state, equipping it, retooling it to meet the modern demands of national security. Right? That's what I was trying to. Growing up, the kind of special rank that we knew, the officers, the young graduates from the Legons, the Techs, what have you, who joined the police service, the Francis Pokus and co. Because give me a few names, a few prominent names. Apart from Francis Poku, there were others. Was this man also a part of it? Ellis Ozufojo also a part of special branch?
I think so.
Yes. These were graduates from Legon.
A lawyer, right?
Yes. And they were professionals. These were no hoodlums or hooligans or what have you, who joined the force. And these were people with trained minds who were handling our national security matters. And we have to go back to those days and see to that. There may also be such people in the setup. Now, I think Asumani is there, isn't he? Asumani is there, isn't he? Yes. So we have still men there to see to that the right thing is done. You understand? But in terms of the recruitment, I was telling Kwesi this morning, if you want to do an audit, you find the minuses and the pluses in every administration. And that's why I don't want to go there. Because we are not here to do equalization. We are here to address a national problem. And the problem must be addressed in such a way that going forward, we are not used to seeing such footages on our screens or on social media. You understand? We are used to seeing people who are more...
So this is actually a Jura this morning.
A Jura this morning. Who are more cuddly, who are more responsive, who are more professional, right? To save the government of the day embarrassment from seeing these footages. Because it's not the best. But notwithstanding, we need access on the floor of the House. And there's, because see, the social administration can also, the public administration can also go, no, that nobody is stopping anybody.
The police say they won't allow us.
No, you cannot do demonstrations. But in terms of, the social media write-ups and two people gathering and shooting videos, that's fine, they can do all that. But
why should people be stopped from demonstrating? Why?
Randy, last time I think I told you my peace of mind. That you see, we came into government with a document. It's called the MPP Manifesto. This is a social document that we had with Ghanaians. So if people are saying we should face the country, I don't see why some people are running away. Because everything, I've been a minister in the ministry, I know what was achieved, what was done there in my time. If people want to debate me any day, any time, what will change? I'm ready to debate them. What we did, the debts we inherited, what we paid, the contracts we put out. That's what democracy is all about. It's a conversation. So why people are ducking and diving about this issue, I don't understand. But yes, there's an executive instrument in place about social gatherings and public gatherings and what have you. Maybe that's what the police is using. Fine. But Randy, nobody can see.
Is it not obvious to everybody that that executive instrument has been so bastardized, even by those who prepared and signed it, such that relying on it to keep people from demonstrating shows nothing but a deliberate attempt to prevent people from demonstrating.
But that is why I also, to a degree, disagree. I disagree because I think we have a commandant or a commander in charge, when it comes to national demonstrations sitting here. Retired. Commander retired.
He's not a consultant.
He's not a consultant.
He and Kwekubako, they're not consultants.
They're not consultants, okay. So nobody can stop you from demonstrating. And we have a human rights lawyer as president now who has all his life stood for, demonstrations and what have you. But Randy,
that's what makes the current issue even more terrible.
But you must also understand the current environment under which you are operating.
That what?
The COVID pandemic.
Oh.
Randy, the fact that one or two incidents, Randy, the fact that one or two incidents have been flouted doesn't mean that we should encourage it. Because there's a spike, there's a new variant.
I keep saying this thing, that look, Satan, Obunsam, Satan, if you give him the opportunity today, he would have a justification for his actions.
Of course, of course. But Randy, I am relishing the prospect of seeing these people out there demonstrating. Because they have to be specific. You cannot say fix the country how. If you come to Western House, you say, Western House, what did you do there? Western House, in the Kufuor second term, this I think he's had about we have 3 of us and 3 more now. So we had also about 6 or 7 ministers there. If you come to and say, well, what have you achieved under Kufuor? We tell you what we've done. If you go to maybe roads and you say, what have you achieved? That's why they're doing this Ministry of Information press series on Sundays. My colleagues who are listening, I think the 1 p.m. time is very appropriate. The 10 a.m. is to people who be at church and what have you. 1 p.m. time, people after church will sit and listen. There's a lot going on.
There's COVID.
Yes.
But when the president went to Upper East or Upper West recently, maybe we can show the footages. We were able to parade. Just hold on, Eugene. Eugene, okay. We were able to mobilize school kids.
Randy.
And look, and these pictures were released officially by the Jubilee House. You see the Jubilee House, Jubilee House stickers on it to show how the kids love the president.
Randy, there's spontaneity sometimes you cannot control. I don't think that
was spontaneous.
Yeah, I think so. Randy, as a child, I remember when Rawlings became head of state in 1979. I was in preparatory school in Takwa. It was coming to Takwa in this armored vehicle. We all lined up the streets to see Jerry Rawlings. That time, the junior Jesus, Ghana Bruni.
Is that what happened in the Upper East region?
Oh, no. I'm saying that every child registered the process of meeting the president or seeing the president, at least with a wave. Yeah, Kwesi, let me finish.
No, I think they should show.
They shouldn't show anything. Because Randy showed it, I think yesterday, was it?
No, and the viewers will be in a position to determine
that is fine.
Whether this was spontaneous.
Everybody has seen it. Because these days, Randy hasn't shown here. It's all on social media. People can see it. Like I said, it's mentioned the Jubilee House website. If you go there, you see it. But Randy, school kids sometimes do things these days out of spontaneity. So that's like can be excused. The funeral bit too. So like one day it's difficult to control the crowd. You were at a funeral last weekend, weren't you? Yes. So can you control people coming in? Can you really control it? It's difficult. Randy, you are believe somebody's can do, wish you well, and you can't say, I won't allow you because of the numbers. You can't read. That is why sometimes certain things are difficult to prevent in that kind of situations, if you know what I mean. But when it comes to demonstration, and people want to demonstrate, I'm relishing it. Because, look, whatever I see that this things the country people wants us to talk about, we can talk about it. It doesn't know what I can. But from I can answer them. What are we running away from?
So why are you stopping them?
I'm not stopping them. And I don't know why the police, they're the ones charged with the control of the crowd. They are the ones going to court. But Randy, I don't think any appointee for Kufuor, since he became president, is scared of freeze the country. I'm not scared of them.
So allow them.
Randy, I'm relishing it. I'm just waiting for that moment to engage them. At least I've been a minister under him, and I know what happened in the ministry. If anybody wants to engage me on that, I can engage them on that. That he's the only president in history who has given that ministry 450 million for drains. Only president. Only. And people, if you want to come and debate, we can debate them. Who is running away? But when sometimes these things are out there, it's like we are scared of something. Fix the country. What is it that they want us to fix? What is it that they want us to fix? There are certain things that we all try to fix in one way or the other. Rawlings came, did his bit, Kufuor came, did his bit, Mills came, did his bit, Mahama came, did his bit, Kufuor is also doing his bit.
Fix it, Jura.
Kufuor cannot fix everything. He's human like all his predecessors.
Fix it, Jura.
We are going to fix it. Wait, we are going to fix it.
Crazy.
The very thing which made me very, very happy 5 years ago.
Okay, so this is the spontaneity.
Oh, Randy, who be a oh. Who be a
Yeah, but Randy, the very thing which made me very, very happy about 5 years ago is the very thing which also makes me very, very sad today.
5 years ago, what happened?
5 years ago, when my good friend Mr. Kandapa was appointed as Minister for National Security, I was so happy. I was so happy because he's a gentleman that we've been in the trenches with. I knew that he was balanced, and I expected that the security architecture would change substantially and reflect the democratic values that we all stood for. 5 years on, I'm shocked.
And
many times,
to that, you see, he's the only non-security person who has occupied the office.
Well, I would not accept
under the Fourth Republic.
I would not accept that.
He's only not. Oh, cool.
Well, having been, no, I would not accept that. Having been,
Tudumukwachi too was there. So.
No, having been Minister of Defense, having been Minister of Interior before, you should have had the necessary experience and so on to be able to work. So today I'm sitting down and I'm asking myself, what happened to my friend and brother, Mr. Kandapa? What happened to him?
He's working.
Or maybe it's not him.
At least he's changed the name from BNI to NIB.
And if it's not him...
Yeah, he needs to be awarded for that.
Yes.
And if it's not him...
He's put up a building for them too.
Yeah.
And if it's not him, then who is it? If it's him, it's a total disaster. And if it's not him, it's a total disaster also.
Is he still your friend?
My very good friend.
So do you think he'll pick your call by describing in such terms?
I don't care. I don't care. I'm not here to use this platform to preserve friendships and to revive old acquaintances and so on. I'm here to discuss national issues. And I'm enjoying to do it as dispassionately as I can. I mean, I cannot believe that the Kandapa I knew in the past is the National Security Minister today. I cannot believe it. I mean, how can anybody believe this? Look at what is happening. I remember his outrage and his pain when the Kumipreku killings occurred. He was outraged. He was pained. Now, you have been given that portfolio and the Edura killings have happened. How do you explain it?
Oh, Makwesi, please.
I am serious. I know what I'm talking about. I'm serious.
Could you have prevented it anyway?
Why not?
You know, there are people who blame.
Why not?
Who blame what happened on intelligence failure. That look, in view of what had happened, proper intelligence could have envisaged this and averted it.
There was steps taken.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, look, this is a gentleman by all standards. You know him.
Oh.
Randy, you know him. Gentleman by all standards. And then under his watch, this is what is happening. He must explain to his friends what is happening. These failures, where are they coming from? And if he's not in charge, why is he sitting there? Because if I was placed in charge of an enterprise and somebody else from behind was doing things and spoiling things and so on, I would leave. So what is he doing? That's one of my worries. You understand? The other thing
today he's taking notes. So today,
no, I'm not taking
sketching.
Sketching.
You know, the other thing too has to do with demonstrations and their essence. You understand? Look, demonstrations are a necessary part of any democratic experiment. How do you gauge how the people are feeling? How do you gauge public sentiment? How do you initiate and shape policy if you don't have a sense of what the aspirations of the people are and so on? So demonstrations must be seen as a gauge of the public mood. They must be necessarily seen as a gauge of the public mood. The attempt to prevent demonstrations helps nobody. Now, my brother Eugene says that, oh, because of the COVID situation and so on, fine. But in COVID, we have seen the massing up of people for partisan political interest all over the country in COVID. And then my brother Eugene says that when somebody is coming to your funeral, you cannot prevent the person and so on. In this country, you have seen cases where the security services have moved into churches and arrested priests and members of the congregation and prosecuted them for violating COVID protocols. Ally? In this country, you have seen the security services going to funerals and arresting people for violating COVID protocols. If I lie, tell me that I lie. So double standards, clear double standards when it comes to the application of COVID protocols. And this must be unacceptable.
Just 2 months ago, I decided not to speak about this. 2 months ago, my brother-in-law's funeral at Esuebwa. They had, they normally do the funerals at football fields or parks. Okay, so there's a park there, school field park, and that's where the funeral was slated. So we had a church service, and then the burial. On the way from the cemetery, I got a call from my sister-in-law that the police say that they will not allow the funeral to be held there because they've told that there are a lot of people who've come from Accra and all that, and because of COVID, the funeral is going to, bring in a lot of people and all that. So they stopped on the day of the funeral. So they had to move the funeral to the residence, the mother-in-law's residence. And I said, look, leave it there. I'm not going to call anybody. I'm not going to ask. They say they're doing their work. Leave them alone. Whilst at the funeral, some friends of my media people in Kumasi came there. They were from another funeral. They said, oh, but the funeral we're coming from in Kumasi, there were over 2,000 people at that funeral. So, some of them tried to read meanings, conspiracy theories. And I don't know, it's no problem. I don't have a problem with it. The most important thing is that there's been a befitting funeral, it's been buried, everything is done. Let's move on. So the point I seek to make is that, like you said, when the police decide that they want to enforce the law, they know how to enforce the law. They know how to enforce the law. Anyway, now Occupy Ghana is waded into this. But before then, I've just been sent some two quotes. One is from Martin Luther King Jr. He says, a patriot must always be ready to defend his country against his government. This is the interesting part. Protest beyond the law is not a departure from democracy. It is absolutely essential to it. He says, if I were to remain silent, I'll be guilty of complicity. This is from Martin Luther King Jr. And then there's this one from John F. Kennedy. He said, those who make peaceful revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable.
That's a famous quote.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Rawlings used to quote this many, many times. I mean, you remember, he loved this quote to bits.
Okay, well, so Occupy Ghana, they have issued a statement on this matter. And they say that Occupy Ghana condemns in no uncertain terms the incidents of violence perpetrated against Ghanaians in the Nigeria and Ashanti region by the military, urged on by the police. These citizens were demonstrating against the murder of Ibrahim Mohammed, a social media activist who had been insisting that the country needed to be fixed. It is painfully ironic that the police, who apparently do not have answers as yet for the circumstances under which the activist was killed, could then line up with the military to engage in the maiming and killing of demonstrating citizens in Nigeria in marksman style, as videos and photos of the incident suggest. Our history is replete with several instances of the deployment of the military and deadly force to quell protests, and they have almost always ended in the shooting and killing of civilians. One would have thought that after the 28 February 1948 Crossroads shooting incident, the use of deadly force to control crowds would be the last thing that any government of an independent Ghana would authorize or tolerate. We reject the notion that the only way that authorities know of to de-escalate tension is the deployment of the military, and that the military's only knowledge about such matters is the use of deadly force. The contrast in our recent history are sharp and real. The deployment of the military and deadly force led to the Kumepreku killings and Techiman South killings. To the best of our knowledge, no one was punished for those killings. In contrast, the non-deployment of the military during the Occupy Flagstaff House demonstration meant that although the police wrongfully arrested some protesters, no one was shot or maimed.
Fantastic point.
We clearly have learned no lessons from these. Hence, that national embarrassment on live TV when the military was called in on our parliament. However rowdy the election process of the speaker was, literally at the dawn of this stage of the Fourth Republic. We have learned no lessons also because these incidents have never been thoroughly investigated and no one is ever punished for taking the lives of citizens of the land through such needless military action. Soldiers are built and trained for war. The presence of the military in any civil event could turn that location into a potential war zone, where one side has all the firepower purchased for them by the citizens at the receiving end of the force. This is why it is the civil police that should lead out in all matters involving the interior. That is why we condemn the militarization of keeping the peace in Ghana. It must end forthwith. The last citizen-funded bullet fired on citizens should be the last ever. In the face of repeated executive failure to lead on this matter, we demand that Parliament must now take the lead by passing a law that regulates the involvement of the military in matters concerning the interior. That law must provide for military activation only when irrefutable evidence shows national police personnel will be overwhelmed by an escalating event. That law must also provide for a full-scale judicial inquiry into each such activation. Whatever the results are, reports published and punishments meted out to those who flout the law and cause needless deaths. We express our deepest condolences to the families of the dead. We wish those in the hospital all the best and speedy recovery. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of them. Yours for God and country, Occupy Ghana. So that's the statement from Occupy Ghana. Wow. Now, on page 3 of the Daily Guide, too much political intolerance, Kandapa. And Linda Tenya Ayeti reports that the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa, has expressed worry over what he termed political intolerance, which is gradually gaining grounds in the country. He has therefore called on Ghanaians to tolerate each other, irrespective of their political differences. He said if such canker was not addressed, that could plunge the country in chaos in future. Quote, political tolerance and consensus building remain critical ingredients to the future political culture of this country. And he made this known at the opening of a 3-day National Stakeholders Dialogue organized by the National Peace Council in collaboration with the Commonwealth Secretariat at Ada in the Eastern Region. And he continued that it was important for all to realize that political violence played a remote role in civil conflict breeding. So he's talked about chieftaincy disputes, inter-ethnic rivalries, talked about land ownership disputes, political party rivalries, and political extremism. All have political undertones and have led to politically motivated violence across our country. As a country, we must tackle this. We must seek better and improved ways to build national and social cohesion and establish mutual trust between the government and the citizens, while building a national spirit of peaceful coexistence and security across the Ghanaian society. He maintained that the promulgation of the 92 Constitution has led to a democratic journey that has seen power transfers between an incumbent government and the opposition party on 3 occasions, in 2001, 2009, 2016. However, he revealed that elections in Ghana have never been without pockets of violence. We have not experienced full-scale conflicts and atrocities in any forms of electoral violence that we have witnessed in some African countries yet. But this should not deceive us into believing that we are all safe. And Minister of Information, Kojo Oponkruma, said Ghanaian politicians are often too suspicious of each other, especially when there's an impending election. We always think someone is scheming and plotting to steal, and most of the time these allegations turn out to be baseless. And if not handled with care, could inflame passions and tension unnecessarily. The slightest trigger then causes violence. Now, we see this point that he makes. He says, we have not experienced full-scale conflicts and atrocities in any form of electoral violence that we have witnessed in some African countries yet. But this should not deceive us into believing that we are all safe. Now, if we look at what happened in the 2020 elections, are we not going from bad to worse? Are we not tilting towards where those other African countries have gone to? Shouldn't we be extremely worried?
Well, Randy, the first point I'd like to make is that Mr. Kandapa's theory, as expressed in the speech he gave, somewhere in the Volta region, is absolutely correct. Where the problem is the practice. And where you have a situation where theory does not match practice, then there's a huge problem. And if the theory is correct, it means that they know what has to be done. And if they know what has to be done and they are not doing it, why are they not doing what has to be done, which they know? That's the problem. You understand? Yes, I think his warning that we should not take the security situation for granted is an important warning. It is deteriorating very fast. You understand? I don't accept the claim that Ghana has not had civil war situations before. It is not true. Our history clearly points to the fact that we've had civil war situations before. You remember that the Ghana Armed Forces had to crash a rebellion around Alabanyo. The secessionist movement was actually crashed around Alabanyo. That was a civil war situation, you understand? And there have been several instances and so on. I do not want to go into all of that. We may not have had those violent situations on the scale that Nigeria has experienced, or on the scale that countries like Burkina Faso and La Côte d'Ivoire, have experienced, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and so on. But we've had those situations in our country. And I'm afraid that the situation could degenerate very, very rapidly. Only 2 weeks ago, the Inspector General of Police issued a very telling wireless message which warned of the invasion of Ghana by some irregular and unhealthy forces carrying military-grade weapons, and it was alleged that they had come as far south as Tamale and so on. This should all be, sources of great worry to us. The manner in which the civilian population is treated, like what has happened in Nigeria and so on, can all fuel, the violent crisis that may occur in this country. And I think that the security apparatus need to do everything possible to de-escalate. And one of the ways of de-escalating is simply to tell the truth about our country and to stop unduly politicization of everything. There is something that I'm going to say, Randy. I'm not so sure whether, but let me say it. A member of parliament, and Eugene is here, is a member of parliament. A member of parliament goes to parliament and files an urgent question about the travels of the sitting president. The Minister of Finance says that he needs time, to answer that question. It's taken 3 weeks. The answers have not come. Then all of a sudden, another member of parliament from the opposing side also quickly files an urgent question wanting to know how much it cost the former president to travel around the world. What is this? What is this? You do these things and then you say you should avoid politicization, you should avoid equalization and so on. How can you do these things? So, look, Ghana is a beautiful country. I mean, if you know Ghana, Ghana is a very beautiful country. Ghana has enormous resources. Ghana ought to have been a very, very rich country and so on. Ghana has beautiful people, beautiful and intelligent people and so on. Please, don't let us destroy it. Remember, Cabral Amihia, at one stage, wrote a very beautiful article. This was during the Achampong era. And he urged the Achampong government not to destroy what it had built with minds, with feet. I think that quotation from Cabral Amihia is relevant today. What people have built with minds, great minds and so on, should not be destroyed with dirty feet.
Too much political intolerance.
Eugene.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. I mean, Randy, and that's one thing that you must all work towards. I mean, equalization, the tit for tat and what have you, it's not taking us anywhere. When a problem like this arises, I think it's one that takes national proportions or national dimensions, and be it NPP or NDC, you must see it as a national problem and not a partisan problem. The fact that it's unfortunately happening under the tenure of President Akufo-Addo is a Akufo-Addo and NPP problem. If that happens, we don't really get to the bottom of the matter. And political tolerance, I think, is to a degree exhibited by a greater number of things that we have achieved as a country. I think I've said on this program that if you look at the history of this country and even the presidents that we have, I think majority of them have come from, even though they are from a larger ethnic grouping, they've come from smaller ethnic groupings. I told you about, before the president, John Mahama, who is a Gonja, 1% of the population, according to the old census. Father Kufuor, 3% Achem of the population, who is a president. Before, Nkrumah. So as a country, I think politically we have a lot to talk about. You've done so well, but the good things are not talked about. Unfortunately, is things that really divide us that we seem to get more pronounced. But there are a lot of things that have gone for this country that unfortunately have been downplayed, whether for political expediency or what have you, I'm not too sure. But we've done extremely well in terms of conducting ourselves. Transfer of power. Who thought Jerry Rawlings, could hand over power to J. Kufuor in 2001? But it happened. In 2009, Kufuor handed over to Mills. In 2016, John Mahama handed over to Akufo-Addo. And it's going to be so and so and so till thy kingdom come. And we are doing all that, which has seen our country being described as a beacon of democracy, or what have you, in the Sub-Saharan region and what have you. But there are also a lot of things that we have to work on, going forward. The tolerance, the media space sometimes is also sometimes choked with too much partisanship and politicking, which to a large extent does not do us any good. Yes, where we have to call people out, we must call them out. But sometimes where we also have to give praise, we must also give praise. Because, for example, all of us, before we all went into government, we had no idea of how government functions and the sort of noises that we used to make and what have you. But once you go and sit on a seat and you should look at the responsibilities and the resources available and what have you, you begin to tone down, or your criticisms of your predecessors and what have you. And it's all called a growing up of maturing in politics and what have you. I think Kandapa has said his bit, but we all must also do our bit and not see every issue or every matter that arises in our country as scoring political points, but rather helping to build and develop our nation. I tell you, the good people of this country are getting wiser by the day. They are getting wiser by the day. They've seen leadership, they've seen Rawlings, they've seen Kufuor, they've seen Mills, they've seen Mahama, they've seen Akufo-Addo, and whoever will come after them, and I think to a fair degree, they will always make the right decision, in terms of helping to advance the cause of our country. There are bread and butter issues, Randy, which sometimes when I come here, I think that this program has done fairly well to a degree, of not making it so political. And I think I also enjoy the program because Mr. Progressive Party says he doesn't come here with a political hat on, despite his CPP roots and what have you. We come here to look at national issues. You see, what is confronting Ghana now? We must look at all that. Why is it that we are witnessing these things time and again? What is the problem? Unemployment is also part of it. So we must look at growing our businesses. Somebody was saying that the ugliness of politics had destroyed what the PM Inkers, the Sians, the Biwers, and what have you had built over the years. We are really a nation where we think that when somebody grows a business up to a level, we the politicians must not interfere to destroy it or to kill it, because there are no jobs in the country for people to get up and go to. And that's why we are seeing the kind of things that we are saying. The bread and butter issues must be addressed. The hospitals, the energy situation, the education situation. These are matters that ought to confront us. When it comes to actual elections, when it comes to matters of election, the people of this country always make a choice. You understand? So when we get opportunity like we have now as the MPP in power, we must use the power to develop our country, to grow our country, so that we Ghanaians can feel comfortable with our tradition and vote us back in, and not the kind of politicking that we should be engaging day in, day out. Somebody is right. One is right, one is wrong. You understand? Well, it's just that we must be focused on building our country. And building our country to a degree that people will feel comfortable no matter which political party finds itself in government. But rather, people will feel that, oh, at least we are seeing the hospital, we are seeing the roads, we are seeing the light, we are seeing this, we are seeing that. All these things, I believe, contribute a degree to the tension that is gradually sometimes mounting up, already is aggregated in our country. That's what I've got to say on the matter.
Because last week you raised the issue of the barcode hologram on the COVID
the vaccination card.
The vaccination card, and that it was not working and all that. So yesterday, Dr. Kuboy, who is a member of the COVID-19 task force, was here on the show, and I took the opportunity to ask him. And apparently he listened the last time, so he said he contacted the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, who confirmed that indeed it's true. But his explanation was that they apparently contracted that a third party, an IT person or a company, to do that job, and that it wasn't linked directly to their database. And this IT company was supposed to compile the data and transfer same onto their database before they can link with the global authorities. First of all, for it even to be effective on their system, and then be able to link to the global authorities. And that this third party says that they can only do 20 or 25,000 a day or so. and so that's how come that only as we speak, only 360,000 people have the vaccination cards. Only 360,000 people have had a double dose. And yet, this third party that was contracted has not been able to put the data collected on a database to enable them activate those
QR code.
The codes they've put at the back of our cards. Today is the last day of June, and the year is 2021. So that's the information I got for you.
No, that's embarrassing. I mean, whoever this IT specialist is, how was he contracted to do such a job?
But would you blame the company, or you blame those who give the company the job?
But that's exactly what I'm saying.
It appears that those who give the company the job didn't even know what they were looking for.
Exactly. But that's exactly what I'm saying. How did he get the job? Masa, you are closer. Some of the people, they are my friends, but as for you, you work with them. You understand? Can these things be explained? How do you explain this? That you actually go through the process of vaccinating people, collecting data, giving them a card, putting a QR code at the back which doesn't work.
I'm sure you were here that day when Dr. Ekos-Pilgabra sent that text here. Remember?
Because see, the vaccination,
remember that text
it's been like over a month since the vaccination was done.
Exactly.
And
well, since I had my second dose.
Yes, and uploading the data of 360,000 persons onto a website or onto a database of the Ghana Health Service to enable the Ghana Health Service also activate it and link up with global database. It's been done, is it 20 or 25,000? Even if that were the case,
we would have covered a lot of grounds by now.
Randy, on a serious note.
On a more serious note.
Yes.
We actually estimate that for us to achieve herd immunity, we need to immunize about 20 million people.
Look, for the delay in the vaccines.
So if for 300,000, this is our performance, what will happen when we get to 5 million?
But for the delay in the vaccines, we're expecting that at least there are about 900,000 who took the single dose would all have had theirs by now. So just the 360 We in fact contracted a company that will take all the data and then every day
input.
They take 4 A4 sheets. Every day 4 A4 sheets.
Wow, this is super competence.
We'll be back shortly.
Super.
The search for a reliable partner in dealing with your U-turn bus needs has been made easier and convenient with SA Automobile. SA Automobile, formerly U-turn Ghana Limited, has been in the business of offering quality U-turn product and services at competitive rates. At SA Automobile, our team of expert staff, management, engineers, and mechanics professionally deal in the sale of U-turn buses, genuine spare parts, its repairs and maintenance at our highly effective workshop with remarkable speed. We also have available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020-000-0831 or 054-555-7500. You can also email us info@saautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
Logo the bottom. Wait, you say 80 local channels na mo and so pictures near clear. A 5 times better. As other channels that could be your hormone. So what I mention when I'm why. Oh, what the pictures. What a picture. What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now Electroland agent PR natural local channels now HD the here so better star 879 hash numbers from computer box and now be activate AD channels now you can
get an HD plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Feely Promo. Promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Shows brought to you in kind partnership with X Natural Mineral Water. And still with me on the show, I have Kwesi Pratt Jr. and Eugene Boachi Entry. Speaker signals law against LGBTQI+. And Nana Kunedo Ajima reports from Parliament House that the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Kingsford Sumana Bagbin, has said the 8th Parliament of Ghana was committed to introducing and passing a bipartisan private members bill to criminalize the activities of homosexuals in the country. He said having gone through the bill, he had no doubt that it was very comprehensive and could be a reference point for justice. Quote, I've gone through the bill and I'm sure that this bill will be a reference point for many countries. It is very comprehensive and really a bill you can refer to as justice. It has gone in accordance with all the provisions of our constitution and laws and our international obligations. It is a law that even those who are against it will find it difficult not to accept. I want to assure all of you that we will create room this week for the bill to be presented to Parliament officially. We will refer it to the appropriate committee and it will go through the process. We will invite anybody who has anything to add or take away from it to appear before the committee. The committee will present the report. We will take it through all the stages of processing the bill, and God willing, it will be passed this year. Addressing the Speaker's prayer breakfast meeting in Parliament yesterday, Mr. Bagbin gave an assurance that the bill will be passed as soon as possible this year. He said if passed, it will protect LGBTQI+ practitioners from extrajudicial treatment, provide medical, psychological, and other forms of support for practitioners who needed help to break from their lifestyle, as well as ban the opportunity for any LGBTQI+ couple to adopt children in Ghana. The event brought together members of the Parliamentary Christian Fellowship and National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values. Now, the bill is being initiated by an 8-member coalition of members of Parliament against LGBTQI+, in collaboration with the National Coalition for the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family Values. The MPs are those for Ningo Pram, Samuel Nate George, Ho West, Emmanuel Bejra, Bando, Mrs. Dela Adjoasoa, Asin South, Reverend John Intimfojo, Tamale North, Mr. Lassans, Saibu, Suhini, Krachi West, Ms. Helen Adjoan Toso, La Darekotopon, Ms. Ritana Odole Soa, and South Dai, Mr. Roxin Nelson, the Famakpon. The bill, if passed, will criminalize the promotion, advocacy, and funding of homosexuality and all its forms, as well as those who engage in lesbianism, gayism, transgender, transsexual, queer, and intersex plus. Again, it will make it criminal for anybody and television stations to produce any promotional materials and show content that supports homosexuality, as well as anybody who wants to provide funding for LGBTQI+. The Speaker noted that the world was created by God as a society for humans to enjoy and commanded them to procreate to fill the world. He therefore said the emergence of homosexuality had revealed those who believed in God and those who did not. Quote, this pandemic must be fought by all of us. I can tell you it is worse than COVID-19. And I am happy our beloved country Ghana is together in this. He pointed out that the president, religious and traditional leaders had all spoken with one voice against homosexuality. I sit here as the Speaker of Ghana. I represent Ghanaians and the country Ghana, and we have spoken in one voice. What we do not want anything to do with whatever things you add to LGBTQI+. And recalled how one LGBTQI+ activist had called him on social media and described him, Speaker, as a funny person. Not perturbed by such pronouncements, Mr. Bagbin said he will continue to lead the charge to ensure that the right thing was done for lives to be saved. I'll continue to be funny to ensure that this world created by God remains a garden of Eden for us to enjoy. We will not threaten any person, but we shall also not be threatened. So that's it. It says that the bill does not preach hate. And it says that it says the saving love of our Savior to all those who are in need. That's according to Sam George. It says it's been established clearly that homosexuality was not a human right but a lifestyle choice. And so we respect the human rights of practitioners of homosexuality to get a free and fair trial. However, their sexual orientation and choices cannot be deemed a human right. And this is in consonance with the 92 Constitution. Eugene, do you support this?
Support what?
The law against LGBTQI+.
I've told you already that I'm a conservative.
Meaning?
I'm a conservative.
Which means what?
I believe in the sanctity of the institution of marriage. That's
okay.
All.
So will you support this in Parliament?
I think I've answered you.
You have renounced that citizenship. You don't need to worry.
I've told you my take on. I'm a conservative, and I believe in the institution of marriage.
Right. You know, incidentally, Sunday at Accra Sports Stadium, after the victory and all that, I mean, it was nearly mad. The Australian High Commissioner was there.
Oh, okay.
So just by I was granted an interview, and I saw he and Sam George.
Hey, exchange.
Yeah. So Sam George then came, the police whisked the Australian High Commissioner. Sam George came to me. So I asked him, what was it? And he said, the guy just came to him and said that he will not get a visa to any country. And it infuriated him. So he also, sparked on him. And
was that a threat, a bill threat on Sam George? that he agrees with him on such matters. What is the world coming to?
Listen.
So, Randy, we are not trained to disagree anymore.
I'm telling you.
Well, there are aspects of the bill that I think are interesting.
Okay.
For example, if you listen to Right Honorable Alban Gbagbo, he insists that people should not take the law into their own hands in dealing with persons who have different sexual and gender orientation.
Yes.
That may be one step forward, because in some communities, they've actually been lynched and so on.
So he said, if passed, it will protect LGBTQI plus practitioners from extrajudicial treatment, provide medical, psychological, and other forms of support for practitioners who needed help to break from the lifestyle, as well as ban the opportunity for any LGBTQI plus couple to adopt children in Ghana. Yeah.
The most
the
important
protection of their
aspect
rights
is the extrajudicial actions which have been taken against them.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that is a most serious abuse of fundamental democratic and human rights. You understand? These things do not happen against just LGBT people. They also happen against even people like albinos, where extrajudicial action, are taken against them. And there have been several instances where people with albinism have been killed for all kinds of reasons and so on. But I'm also very deeply worried about aspects of the Speaker's pronouncements. The 1992 Constitution, under which he assumes his position as Speaker, is clear on the freedom of worship. Clear that people have a right to be atheists, and people have a right to be Christians, and people have a right to be Baha'i and Muslim and so on. Look at how he denigrates atheism. Look how and I'm so shocked. You understand? And this flies against the provisions of the 1992 Constitution. I'm sure that at one time or the other, there will be some very vigorous debate about rights of citizens and how to protect these rights. We will get there. You understand? Look, Randy, it would be very interesting if we were allowed, if the laws allowed us to plant cameras in people's bedrooms. Masa, are you with me?
I'm listening.
Many of the people who come out pretending to be holier than thou and so on, you should see what they do in their bedrooms. I've finished.
What do you mean by that? Are you in the bedrooms with them?
You mean you don't know?
I'm asking you.
You don't know? Are you saying that you don't know?
Person is speaking to hypocrisy.
Okay.
You should see them in their bedrooms. What they do in their bedrooms.
Randy,
and then when they come out, they are loud.
If they are
making all kinds of pronouncements and so on. Go and plant a camera in their bedrooms and see what they do there.
If the Australian High Commissioner really did say what you are claiming.
This is what Sam George told me. I didn't hear.
Then it's most unfortunate. Coming from Australia, one of the oldest democracies in the world, and who are also believers in the rule of law and the freedom of speech, freedom of association, what have you, to really look a Ghanaian member of parliament in the face and say to him, look, because of your views, no foreign embassy or high commission will grant you visa to travel to. It's most unfortunate. I mean, this is a veiled threat.
But why do they always threaten us with not giving us visas to go to their countries?
Yes.
What do they think that their countries are? Heavens?
Because it provided safe havens for some of us when the country was unsafe to live in and what have you. So anytime something happens, that's where all our leaders flock to. They flock to Britain to seek, asylum and stuff. So that is why sometimes the bond between us and them must always be maintained and strengthened and what have you. But to go to the extent of threatening a member of parliament for his views.
That is if it indeed happened.
Yes, of course. The alleged threat, then it's most unfortunate. And we expect high commissioners or diplomats, for that matter, to be very decorous and very measured in their language. No matter the disagreement with some judge. And I've told you, I think
he almost doubts some judge's happiness that day.
Yes. Ghana is a generally conservative country. And it will take time for people to get used to happenings elsewhere. And that's what people must always bear in mind. You understand? It's a fairly or generally conservative country. We have our own cultures, traditions, beliefs, or what have you, and it has served us well. You understand? To really shake it will require...
A friend of mine says that the LGBTQ, whatever people, if they really want support in Africa, they should add polygamy to their... they should add another piece.
How can you practice? Yes, in one day you are practicing that a man cannot have 2 wives. But one day you are saying it's okay for a man to sleep with a man or a man to sleep with a man. And what have you? All these things have been banned. Fine. But these are views that are being espoused by people who prefer to be in that kind of environment. And they shouldn't spring that on us.
Yeah.
You understand? Because like I said, this country that I know or I've grown to know is a conservative country, whether you like it or not. You understand? A greater majority of us will prefer to live in a house with women and our children. You understand? So if some of us, some Ghanaians feel inclined that way, if you know what I mean.
They should go and live with them.
No, that is fine. It's a democracy, blah, blah, blah. But they shouldn't foist it on us. You understand? Because some are growing to accept it. Some will never accept it. And even in Britain, where I've lived for a long time, people are still very ashamed coming out. And I remember it was on Newsnight. I don't know, Jerry, I don't know whether you are used to use like Jerry Paspa's program every evening, Monday to Friday, when Peter Mandelson was outed for the first time.
The British is in your blood.
No, of course, it's my blood. Yes, when Peter Mandelson was outed on a program, and he didn't take it lightly at all, even though he was an open, not at the time I was open, but he was a closet homosexual. You understand? He didn't take it lightly at all. So even there, people are very coy or shy about it. You understand? So to come to a country like ours, and to get people to accept it, fine. That's their way of life. Who are we to say no? Right? But they shouldn't foist it upon us. They shouldn't make us feel that they have a more superior world than what we have here. You understand? Wherever it is, that's our Ghana. This is our Ghana, and this is what we have come to accept. You understand? Yes. And I want to leave it at that. I want to leave it at that.
Kwesi, I've seen a story. I'm sure that you probably will be tired of speaking about it, but I'll try and end with it. Unification can make Nkrumah's third force.
Unification?
Yeah, unification.
But how can they get Kwesi Pratt to go back to the city in one room and talk?
But as for them, they are on one page.
Are you sure? When it comes to CPP?
That's for them, they are on one page. So they are the list of the problems. Now, Kweku Zurek has a story, and apparently there's a new political pressure group, United Nkrumah's Front, UNF, which has been formed in Sunyani with the aim to unite all the fragmented Nkrumah's parties under one umbrella to contest the 2024 general election. And there's a representative of the CPP, PNC, GCPP, PPP from the Bono, East Ahafo, and Ashanti regions attended the meeting. And in line with that, a 6-member interim executive of the UNF, with Alhaji Mustafa as chairman, Mr. Michael Nketiah as secretary, and John Alagba as a spokesperson, was introduced to the gathering. Now, a senior lecturer at the Department of Political Science of the University of Ghana, Legon, Dr. Seydou Alidou, has stated that the unified front of Nkrumah's parties will give Ghana a third force heading to the 2024 general election. According to him, the country was currently yearning for a dominant third force, and if parties that profess the ideologies of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah were to unite successfully, they could occupy that position. Quote, "It's baffling that parties which profess the ideologies and vision of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah are not able to win elections in this country. And one of the identifiable challenges has been the fact that these parties are scattered across the length and breadth of the country." So it's an ideal thing to seek unification, especially if they all believe in the same core principles espoused by Nkrumah. I think that Ghana is yearning for a dominant third force beside the NDC and MPP. And collectively, if the Nkrumah's front can unite, it can occupy that position. Over the years, the third force has either been PPP, PNC, or CPP, except for this last election that we had GUM. If these smaller parties, which have been outperforming each other for the third position, come together, you will see that they will become a very big force for the people who are not happy with the NDC and MPP. Now, he says that past efforts had been thwarted by minor issues such as symbol, name, and leader, and major issues such as interference from the two major political parties. So it's in a merger and coalition of political parties. Usually the smaller party joins the bigger one, adopts the name of a bigger one collectively, but this is an inter-party advisory committee, IPAC, of the Electoral Commission. All the minor issues affecting the unification of Nkrumah's parties could be addressed if they were able to win themselves off the continued deliberate dominance by the NDC and MPP. It is suggested that leaders of unification effort could achieve the objective by addressing issues of independence and funding of merged parties. Kwesi, should we forget about this unification of Nkrumah's parties and just live with the fragmentation?
Randy, I've been in this struggle for many years, and when I read the story this morning, I laughed. You understand? Because the facts of the ground do not support these claims.
What are the facts?
In fact, what has been established since 1992 is that the more we unite, the smaller we become.
Really?
Sure. Check the 1992 election results, check the 1996 election results, and check the 2000 election results and so on. And you'll find that the more we unite, the smaller we become. In 1992, we had the National Independence Party, which brought together people like the Jantuas, Kodo Botsios, and others, and Kwabena Daku, and so on. And then we had the People's Heritage Party, which brought together people like Kweku Baako, Alhaji Fall, Freddie Blay, and so on. And then we had the PPDD, you know, and then we had the NCP, and we had all of them. By 1996, when they all came together, most of them came together and formed the CP, you understand? We got a large section of the PHP, the National Independence Party, and almost half or more of the NCP and the PPDD coming together. What was the performance in the elections? Worse than before. By 2000, when the large section of the PNC actually broke away and joined the CPP, what was the result? So in practice, it's been proving that the more we unite, the smaller we become.
Why is that? What do you think that is?
That is the question we have to ask ourselves. Why is it that the more we unite, the smaller we become? You understand?
Strange.
So this lecturer perhaps has not, he has not looked at the empirical basis. This assertion is making has no empirical basis. The empirical basis ought to be the election results. As far as I'm concerned, what is missing is an effort to build a genuine Nkrumahist party which believes in the philosophy of Nkrumah and which adopts the development paradigm that Nkrumah put forward. Cobbling things together and calling them Nkrumahs does not convince the electorate. You understand? So we've got to go back to basis. We've got to go back to making an attempt to achieve an ideological and organizational purity. That is the way forward.
Why is the CPP by itself unable to do this?
I'm coming. Look at the last elections. The last elections. 2020 elections. Look at this party, GUM.
Yes.
Look at the gains it made in its first entrance. What is it that made GUM gain that much votes in the first entrance? Because me, I sit back, I listen to the leader, and I have problems. You understand? I would never join GUM. Okay? And yet he made so much gains. All that GUM did was to go back to the projects that Nkrumah did, show videos of what Nkrumah did, and say this is the way forward. That's all they did. You understand? And that should teach all of us important lessons. People want alternatives, but they want genuine alternatives which present real alternative programs. That's what they want. Today, I believe firmly that Nkrumahism is very relevant to the development of our country. And it shows. Look, in 2000, we built this alliance with NPP in 2000. And if you remember, President Kufuor, his campaign, they did huge billboards with photographs of Nkrumah and President Kufuor together. President Kufuor realized the need to cultivate the CPP, or at least the image of Nkrumah, in order to win an election. When President Kufuor came to the CPP headquarters to ask for the alliance and so on, I was in that meeting. Myself and Dr. Nasser, we thought that the alliance was not possible in the first instance. And if I raised the issue, I said, look, given your ideological orientation and so on, how can we build an alliance with you? And then President Kufuor said, what are your concerns? So we started talking about the concerns. He said, let's have it in an agreement. I'm ready to sign. So myself and Dr. Nasser were nominated to go and draft the agreement. We sat down for some time, drafted an agreement, and we were sure that President Kufuor would not sign that agreement. We were so sure that how can a right-wing party leader sign this agreement?
Center right.
That's your definition.
Center right.
We brought the agreement. President Kufuor looked at the agreement, just glanced through it, and handed it over to Jake. He said, Jake, go and sign. We signed the agreement. You understand?
But Jake signed in the end.
Yeah, they signed. But what was implemented in the agreement? Nothing.
We don't know what was contained in there. We don't know what was contained in there.
Nothing was implemented in the agreement. But then he realized that it was necessary to take the Nkrumahs along.
But Kwesi, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
yes. Kwesi, what is the real difference between the two political ideologies?
A lot.
Yeah, I want to be educated.
Unfortunately, we don't have much time.
Okay.
Maybe next week we can deal with it.
Yes.
But Kwesi, let me ask you this final question. Realistically, do you think that with the position and might of the NDC, the CPP can ever
regain its,
become a dominant force? Is that possible?
The only way that is possible is if, and I'm not using CPP advisedly.
Nkrumahist, okay.
If a genuine Nkrumahist political party emerges, which presents as an alternative to NDC and NPP. That has not happened yet.
Really?
Because if you look in terms of policy, just raw policy and philosophy and so on, there's not much to choose between NPP and NDC in terms of their orientation. Not much. You understand?
Oh, really?
Yes, there's not much to choose between the two parties. So what you need is a genuine platform which advocates national self-reliance, a genuine platform which advocates the appropriation of the resources of Ghana for Ghanaian people, and so on. You need a genuine national platform which rejects foreign imposition on Ghana and so on. And that then becomes a clear, viable alternative to both NPP and NDC. That has not emerged yet.
Well, I think there's a world of difference between NPP and NDC.
What is the difference?
The world of, well, okay. I think we have to.
Let's continue.
The difference has to do with how much of it is being done or how less of it is being done.
I think we have to debate this next week.
Same policy.
But there's a lot of difference between the two political
parties. No, it's not true. It's not true. You understand? It's not true at all.
So the NDC is not Nkrumah's party?
It has never claimed to be an Nkrumah's party.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
no, the
all right,
NDC
so let me say,
a social
let me say a happy 20th wedding anniversary to the former Central Regional Minister Aquinas Kwanzaa and his wife Patricia Abla Kwanzaa. So Aquinas Kwanzaa, Honorable former Central Regional Minister and your wife Patricia Abla Kwanzaa, happy 20th wedding anniversary. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a pleasant day.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Manika and synonym. Wakati na Moses said, Mose, Kwana ebisa